tweet this out real quick. I can't believe it was stupid. It was Google Chrome the whole time.
Are we live?
Yeah, we are live right now.
Hey.
I don't think we have any viewers yet, but this is an episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast for anybody who might be listening after the fact. We're working out some technical bugs right now.
Definitely going to cut this part out.
My computer is garbage. Apparently, Google Chrome does not like doing live streams, so I'm using Firefox.
All right, there you go. I'm surprised we didn't think of that earlier.
You know, it crossed my mind, but I always use Google Chrome, and it never really has an issue, so I'm not really sure what the deal is, but whatever. It is what it is.
It is what it is. They can't stop us.
Never. All right.
Dude, I've been looking forward to this for so long.
I'm glad, dude. I'm really glad. I was worried about you. You've been pretty quiet the last couple of days. I've been thinking that maybe you were having some issues or something. Are you guys doing all right?
I've just had a crazy couple of days.
Okay. I was worried. I was like, I haven't heard from him. I'm trying to get feedback on the episode. You were just kind of like, yeah, whatever sounds good, buddy.
I know. I know I scared you because I messaged you just like, what was it, an hour ago saying, what were the topics again?
Yeah. I'm like, oh God. That's all right. We'll survive.
Proper Jeremy is reminding us that we're live. Thank you, Proper.
Thank you. Thank you very much, PJ. Appreciate that.
Cybersonic 8472. Hi, Salty Nerd. Working, lurking. Thank you for stopping by. This is going to be a great episode.
Yes, thank you, Cybersonic. You are always there to interact with my posts. I appreciate that, sir. I do recognize. Shout out to you, sir. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out my computer right now. Let's see.
No worries.
Okay, so now I can see the comments. Perfect. Proper Jeremy, hooray. Thank you very much. All right, let's jump in. This is the first ever SNP live stream, Salty Nerd Podcast, on YouTube. So quick announcement for people who are listening or maybe people who are going to listen later on. The Salty Nerd Podcast will now be available on YouTube. I will be posting new episodes up here along with iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher, and also the most popular older episodes like The Last Jedi Commentary, the Influences podcast. I'll work to get those up on the channel as well, so they're available to anybody who wishes to listen to them on YouTube. That being said, today's topic is going to be all about what we are looking forward to coming up in 2019, and I am joined today by the legend himself, Sith Kriptonian.
Yes, I'm a legend, but I can't get more than 50 views. Thank you very much.
Hey, so I gotta ask you, meaning to ask you this: how was the 24-hour live stream, dude? That was pretty exciting that you got to be a part of that.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. You know, it wasn't anything planned or that I expected to happen at all. I happened to eat too much pizza the night before, and I woke up like at 3 a.m. and I had to take a dump. So I just opened my phone and I happened to see my friend, the Rookie Critic, on Geeks and Gamers. It's a YouTube channel with like 100,000 subscribers. I was like, oh, wow. So I just typed in the chat, and next thing I knew, I was on the channel for like 15 hours, and it was great. I got to meet a lot of my favorite Star Wars YouTubers, which was cool. And it definitely helped my YouTube channel out a lot. I think I jumped up like 70 subs or something, so that was cool. But more importantly, I just enjoyed the experience, you know. But I'm definitely not a legend, dude. I only have like a couple hundred subscribers, so chill.
I gotta build my fam up, you know what I mean? I gotta give you credit where credit's due. I mean, I'm sleeping on the job over here. I don't even do Senate podcasts anymore. I'm so busy all the time.
Bro, you know what? You're Senate for life, bro. I know you're always on there when you can and when we need you. And I wasn't kidding when I said I'm a big fan of this podcast, and I was upset when you snubbed me for 3PO the first time. Oh, damn you, 3PO. Okay. No, I'm just kidding.
In his defense, he did. He was one of the first people that I ever talked to on Twitter, so he got first dibs. But you were definitely second on that list because you created this great little group that we have called the Senate. We have great conversations in there. We talk about Star Wars, we talk about movies, all kinds of crazy stuff, even weird political things that come up once in a while. So it's definitely one of the more positive experiences that I've had since I've started this podcast. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Hell yeah, man. It's definitely, I just woke up one day in the summer and I was like, I feel like talking about Star Wars. Let me just add some people I see around Twitter that I think would enjoy being a part of it. Some people stayed, some people didn't, but it just turned into like a group of really good friends who like to talk about random stuff. And beyond that, you guys have been so generous to me. You allowed me to do kind of a podcast of my own, a live stream on YouTube show called The Senate. And you guys come on there and we basically do what we do in the group chat live on YouTube. And that's been great for my channel and for all of you guys too, to get exposure. Like, you guys are always welcome to plug whatever you want on there. But that's probably my favorite thing about my channel is the Senate stream. So yeah.
Yeah. They're a blast. We have a good time. Me and Roger, that's probably the most, I don't know what the exact word would be for it, but it's the most fun that I have is me and Roger's back and forth. We always get into it for some reason or another. We always butt heads at some point.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's still all fun and games though. Roger, I love you, man. You're crazy. I can't swear on this podcast, but you're a crazy dude, but I love you.
Shout out Roger.
Shout out to Roger. Roger Nelson 1970, I think, is his Twitter handle, and he does custom artwork for most of the Senate's profile pictures. So if you guys are looking for something custom, give him a call. Anyway, let's get started because we only got about 45 minutes left for this podcast. So 2019 is freaking stacked between movies, between returning TV shows like Game of Thrones. We've got, I think Peaky Blinders is coming out this year too. I should probably check on that. We've got a ton of things to talk about, so let's jump in right away. This is for my list that I made. I'm kind of going in order of release. So starting off in the beginning of the year, we've got M. Night Shyamalan's return, his third film in this little weird universe that he's built for himself, Glass, with the returning cast of Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. This all started with Unbreakable back in 2000. It was freaking 19 years ago, dude. That's crazy. I remember watching that movie.
Watch that one.
You haven't watched Unbreakable yet?
No, I watched Split, and I really enjoyed Split as a movie, and I didn't understand that twist when Bruce Willis showed up at the end until somebody told me that, yeah, no, the twist was it turned out to be a sequel to this movie Unbreakable, and I was like,
yeah,
wow, I got to check that out.
It was so crazy because it was nothing that anybody expected. We're just like, oh, M. Night Shyamalan's putting out another movie. Cool. It's kind of like a thriller sci-fi type thing. It's typical up his alley. And then, like you said, when that was the twist, the M. Night Shyamalan twist was that it was actually connected to this greater universe that he created. And Unbreakable, I think, is probably one of his better films, at least one of his more beloved films. And it has aged really well. It's got a really great lore behind it where these people are kind of reluctant heroes, or maybe they don't actually believe that they have powers, but something convinces them that maybe they do. Specifically in Bruce Willis's character, he was kind of in denial for the first 2 acts of the movie, and it wasn't until the last act of Unbreakable that he realized he did actually have some superhuman supernatural ability to be unbreakable. And it was an amazing, it was a really cool
spoiler
twist.
Alert.
You should should definitely watch it. It's been 18 years. It's not a spoiler anymore. So what's a good spoiler like cutoff point? Like, if you haven't watched it in this long, you no longer are liable for the spoiler. I say,
I know. I think that it's sorry to interrupt. I think that the rule I have is if somebody, like, if I know somebody didn't watch it, then it's on me not to spoil it. But if I'm just having a conversation and somebody happens to go, oh no, you spoiled it, it's just like, sorry man, it's an old movie, we were just talking about it. I think
a year is a good time limit for people. If you haven't seen it in 1 year, I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah. Especially with streaming now, and like you can watch movies so easily.
Yeah. But anyway, my anticipated movie, I think it's January, maybe early February. Glass is going to it's January 18th, I think. Glass is coming out. So really looking forward to that. I think it's probably M. Night Shyamalan's strongest set of films. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan of his. I really liked Signs. That was one of my favorite ones. And The Village. I know people kind of rag on The Village a little bit, but I actually really like that movie. I love the twist ending with them being in kind of this compound. It's a really cool thing. So I'm a fan of M. Night Shyamalan. He kind of dropped from favor for a couple of years, but it seems like he's back in the game, and I'm digging it.
Yeah, hell yeah. And one thing I want to say too is, speaking of that twist at the end of Split, I expected something similar back when Man of Steel was announced. Like, I was like, oh, what if at the end Christian Bale shows up and it's this new universe to compete with Marvel? Back before I realized.
Nice. All right, so next on my list, do you have your own list, or are you just going off of what I sent you?
I made my own list.
Okay, what do you got next on yours?
All right, so my first one was Glass Like You. My next one might be controversial for some people. It's Lion King, the quote unquote live action one that's really
Oh,
animated.
okay, cool. Yeah, it's an animated live action. What else
Yeah.
are you gonna call it? You can't really call it anything else. I mean, they're going for as realistic as possible.
Yeah, I guess you could call it like no, you can't really, it's not really Pixar at all in any way. You could just say lifelike, I don't know.
It's live action is kind of the only thing they can say unless they come up with a better phrase, which I don't know if anybody's going to bother doing. Yeah, Lion King looks amazing as far as the graphics are concerned. Becoming making these animals become real by only using CGI. I think the idea that it was all computer generated is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless for the future of films. Like we might not need actors anymore, but what I will say about Lion King is my favorite animal of all time are lions, and I really love the original Lion King and the story and just the lessons you can take from that. So now that it's going to look like real lions and it's the same story, I'm hyped.
Yeah, it's actually it didn't make my list only because I like The Lion King, but it's not one of my favorite Disney movies.
Hmm.
I am looking forward to seeing it only because of the technological aspect of it. The story's going to be the same. I mean, they got a cool group of actors going. I'm glad that they got James Earl Jones to come back from Mufasa, which is awesome.
Yes,
Thank God for that. I think that's probably the right move to make.
100%.
But I don't know if it's if an anticipated one. It's definitely one I'm going to see, but it's not. It didn't make my list. But I'm glad that you mentioned it because I probably would have forgot about it. Next on my list, Lego Movie 2. Did you see the first one?
No, I haven't seen any Lego movie.
Oh, dude. Okay, so Chris Pratt is hilarious. He's Lego Movie 1. I own it. I watch it with my kids all the time, and it's such a good comedy. Like, just watch it, sit down, and have a good laugh. I mean, it's a real bubblegum, kind of like popcorn esque movie. There's nothing real crazy substance to it unless you really want to dive deep into the messaging behind it. But um, I'm looking forward to hearing more from Chris Pratt. I love him as an actor. I think he's great in serious roles
Same.
and in comedic roles. So that's probably going to be awesome. I think he's playing two different characters in this movie. And I remember in the trailer they had like a little Easter egg cameo about raptors in the Lego movie, which I think is very unique for Lego to be able to do that, to be very meta, like to be very aware of itself. And it's something that only like Deadpool and Lego movies can do. And it's so awesome to see it on screen. I love it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. I'll definitely check it out. The thing about Lego is I've always seen trailers and clips and I've always like chuckled, but for some reason it was just never enough to get me to watch them. I have played some Lego games, so I kind of have an idea of that flavor you're talking about, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind for 2019. The next one I had on my list was the Joaquin Phoenix Joker film.
Oh, you're going way over to October. Okay, cool. Right on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want
No,
me to go in order
no,
as
no,
well
it's
or?
fine. No, no, I don't care what order you go into. I just that's third from last on my order, but I'm glad we both have it on there. We can talk about it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. It looks cool. It looks different. It looks like it can be this um it can just focus on the Joker and how scary and evil he can be. Like
Mhm.
it really doesn't feel like they're gonna go too far into the comedic aspect. It's gonna be more like psycho clown, which is fun to me. The only issue I have with that film so far, and obviously Joaquin Phoenix looks great. I like the makeup. My only issue is there's just too much stuff leaking.
Oh my
Like I
God, tell
feel
me
like I
about
know
it.
half the plot of the film.
Every other day I see some leaked footage and it's not like leaked. It looks like it's 4K, freaking like they stripped it right off the camera on the dailies or something. I don't understand why they're doing that. I think that little teaser that we got when it was like the flash camera where he was going from normal clothes to the Joker outfit. That was perfect. Like
Yeah.
that got me
Yeah.
amped. That sold me on Joaquin Phoenix. I was like, okay, I'm good. And then it just continued to come out with new stuff, leaked footage of him dancing, leaked footage of him running around in the trains in the subway station.
Protesters.
Yeah, protesters. So it's kind of given away a little bit of the plot, which I tried to piece together, but I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who doesn't want to know.
Yeah.
Um, but I do like they did advertise one thing that I thought was really cool. There is no Batman in this movie. It's going to be based in the 80s, I think. Thomas Wayne is still alive. So Bruce Wayne is probably going to be fairly young. It's going to be before his parents got killed. So that's an interesting time period to have the Joker, especially with Joaquin Phoenix being older. So that it just pulls into question kind of like the universe that they're building. Is DC doing a one-off, like they just want to tell this one story and have it be done, and it's a different take, or is it actually going to tie in to the greater DC universe? It's a really interesting question because it seems so different from the rest of the DC movies.
You know what would be crazy, and it's probably super not likely, but what if it turns out to be a tie-in with the Flashpoint universe? Like, what if Thomas Wayne turns out to be Batman by the end of the film?
Oh man, if they did that, I think I would just lose my overall nerd heart. It would just I'd be so freaking excited, dude, if they actually pulled that off the right way.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I don't watch the entire movie on Twitter. You know, they just got to stop the leaks, and then I'm
I
good.
know. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next one, we're going back to, I think, I'm going to say March as a release date for this one. How to Train Your Dragon 3. Toothless and Hiccup are back, baby. I'm so freaking amped for this movie. This series has like a special little place in my heart. I think when the first one came out, I took my now she's my wife. I was dating her at the time, but we went on a date and we were like, we didn't know what to see. And we're like, well, there's this animated movie, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. We went to see it, and dude, that movie blew me away. The cinematics of them flying the dragon when Hiccup and Toothless first get in the air and they're flying through the canyon with the clouds and the oceans underneath them, dude, it made me feel like I was on a roller coaster. Like my stomach went up into my gut. It was so well done. I loved it.
Wow.
So go ahead.
I haven't seen any of the How to Train Your Dragon films, but the way you describe it makes it seem like a roller coaster ride.
Oh, dude, the moments, like the story is really good. It's a kids movie. It's meant for a younger audience, so obviously it's not going to be like super deep, but the moments that they do have are really good with the father-son relationship, with Gerard Butler as the leader of the clan, and then Hiccup. I can't remember the actor's name, but they work really well together. And the ending battle is freaking awesome. Like that whole movie is so good. So I'm really excited to see them return for this. I think it might be the final one in the trilogy. We'll see what happens, but I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to go see that. And now I get to take my kids, so that's even cooler.
Awesome. Yeah, so the next one on my list was Shazam.
Oh, yes.
I think that the trailers looked amazing, and it looks really funny, and it's a new, fresh origin story that we haven't seen on screen before. Like, it's not your typical superhero movie that we've watched before. It's kind of like Big meets Superman. You know, like it looks so cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great way to put it. Big meets Superman, or Big meets any comic book hero. But like, just I think the I'll tell you a real quick backstory on this. When I first heard that Zachary Levi was being announced as Shazam, and then we got that one leaked footage, or not footage, but one leaked set photo of him in the full Shazam outfit, I was like, oh dear God, that looks horrible. It looked like a padded suit, and I was like, oh no, that's not what they're going for, is it? Oh please God, no. Like I freaked out for a minute because I've known Zachary Levi from Chuck, from the TV show Chuck. Have you ever watched that?
Yeah, I've seen Chuck.
Okay, so Zachary Levi to me is the nerd herd tech guru, like real skinny, kind of nerdy guy, a little awkward. Like that's who I've always established him as in my head. And then when I see him in this yoked out, like big giant red suit with a yellow or a white and yellow cape, I was like, oh, that doesn't work. My brain like did a 180. I was like, no, that looks wrong. And I think I was being a bit unfair because my wife, she's a huge Zachary Levi fan, and she was like, don't talk crap about Zachary Levi, he's my man. I was like, well, I can't help it, he looks like he's wearing a padded suit. But it turns out I did a little bit of research. It turns out he actually did get pretty freaking yoked for this role, and I was like, yeah, right on, man, good job. So I've backed off on that a little bit. And then once the trailer came out, I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'm good with it. It looked hilarious. I think he fits really well with being the little kid inside the big strong man superhero. You know what I mean? Like his personality fits perfectly with that. So
Yeah,
I'm with you.
100%. And I really liked who they cast as his friend, as Billy Batson's friend, the guy from Stranger Things, that little kid who's hilarious.
Which one? Remind me which one it is. I can't remember.
I don't remember his name. He was in It also.
Okay, yeah, okay, yep, I remember.
Yeah.
He's like the main kid that has the love interest with Elle, right?
I don't think he's the main one. He's like the one who's like would like roast his friend's mom or whatever.
I can't remember.
I can't remember
Somebody,
either. But they picked a good they bottom line is they picked a good actor for his friend. And
yeah.
what I will say about his name is escaping me now. You're just talking about him. The guy from Chuck. What's his name? Oh, Zachary Levi.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Full disclosure, I always used to confuse him with Jim from The Office.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, you're right. He's a good pick for this role. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited
Yeah.
for that as well.
Really well done on that end. And I don't know if I want to say this or not. I don't know how many people may have heard about the leaked, not leaked. Again, I keep using that stupid word. The released footage from that Comic-Con down in South America, I think it was. It was I can't remember what the name of it was, but they showed a trailer, and it was a big reveal that Henry Cavill's Superman might actually be in this movie.
Oh, I'd be so down for that.
Apparently, there's a scene where the trailer was released that the guy was Shazam, Zachary Levi was falling, like something had happened, he was getting beat up or whatever, and he was falling, and he cried out for Superman, and then all of a sudden, like it was implied. I don't know if they actually showed it, but it was implied that once he was falling, something caught him and he stopped falling, and it was like a big moment, like, oh my God, Superman.
Yeah, that'd be cool if it happens. I'm definitely gonna take that with a grain of salt, though.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm down for it. I hope Cavill keeps his cape.
100%, me too.
All right, so then I had Captain Marvel on my list as well. I'm sorry, not Captain Marvel. It is really Captain Marvel, but Shazam, I had him on my list as well. I do have Captain Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Captain Marvel with Brie Larson. I have it on my anticipated list. Not because I think it's going to be like the greatest movie ever. I want to see what they're going to actually do. Like I know that it's getting a lot of flack, specifically with Brie Larson. She's kind of a monotone throughout the trailers, which can or cannot show what's actually going to happen in the movie. I'm inclined to give her the benefit of the doubt, but who knows? We're not going to know until we actually see the movie. But what I really want to see is I want to see how they're going to tie this into Avengers Endgame, and I want to see what they're going to do with the scroll. Like that's a new element to the MCU that they're going to be bringing in, which could cause a lot of ripples in the future.
Yeah, 100%. I think on that side of it, that probably makes you want to see it a little bit more. But outside of that, I really have no interest in that film.
None whatsoever?
No, it just seems like another movie like Ant-Man, but it's a girl with different powers. Like as far as the level of anticipation I have for it, I just prefer certain characters over others. That's all.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I don't think I saw Ant-Man when it came out either, because again, it's one of, like, I like Thor and Captain America, and the classic 5 or 4 guys that were the main characters. So once they started adding all these extras, it was definitely like I didn't see Black Panther in theaters either. I can understand what you're saying. Like it's just not something that you're probably going to go. You might watch it later just to see how it ties in, but it's not super important.
It's like Ant-Man. Ant-Man, I felt the same as I do for Captain Marvel. Like pretty indifferent about it. And then with Ant-Man, I was actually pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed the film. So it's definitely a possibility for Captain Marvel, but as of this moment, nah.
Okay. Right on. All right. So what do you got next on your list, buddy?
All right. So for me, the movie I have next is, okay, I'm going to have to explain this one, but it's Episode 9, Star Wars Episode 9.
Oh, I was going to say that to the end.
Oh, really? You want to save it to then? I can pick another one.
Let's pick another one because I want to save that until the very, very end so we can end on a real high note.
Okay, so the next one I have is Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
Because it's the bookend to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I fell in love with probably back around 2008 when Iron Man came out.
Yep.
It's literally going to be the end of that story that built up since then. So
yeah,
it's definitely going to be closure for me, and I want to see what happens with the characters. And just from some of the things I'm hearing about where they're going to take the MCU in the future, I think that Endgame is probably a good place for me to bow out after watching it. So
I 100% agree with you. I was just about to say the same thing. As somebody who's watched every single one of these movies since 2008, at least most of them in theaters. If not, I've watched them all on streamers or on streaming services or whatever. But I feel the exact same way. Like Avengers Endgame is the end for me. Like I know that they're
same.
still going to have, they're going to have Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and a couple other ones. But I think it's a good opportunity for people who have liked what's come so far to say, okay, I have this, and that's exactly what I wanted, and it's perfect in every way that I want it to be, and it's very entertaining, and it's great, and I love it. So it's kind of like, this is going to be a weird segue, but it's kind of like the original trilogy for some older Star Wars fans.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I can totally see what you mean by that.
yeah, like, okay, so this is my original trilogy, Iron Man 1 all the way to Avengers Endgame, and whatever they do in the future, call them, you can liken it to the prequels, or you can liken it to even the sequel trilogy that's coming out for Star Wars. It's just whatever they want to do, they're going to do it. But I still have this little chunk, these 20 some odd films that are exactly what I love. And that's what I'm going to hold on to. So if God forbid, for some reason they screw it up coming up in the next couple of years, it's okay, because we still have all this other stuff to hang on to.
Yeah, and that's why I'm glad that they're going to put a cap to the story that, no pun intended, they're going to put an end cap on the story that started with Iron Man. So that's what we have. That's our graphic novel, so to speak.
Yeah, and I got a little bet going with Drunk 3PO about what's going to happen. And because of exactly what you just said, this is Iron Man's story. I'm calling it right now, 3PO. Iron Man kicks it, and a Captain America lives. I'm just going to say that right now.
Well, here's my theory is it's going to be both their story, and it's going to end with them coming back together after what happened with Civil War, and then it's going to be them riding off into the sunset in whatever way they want to end the characters.
I think, yeah, I can see that. They definitely could go that way. My thought is that I think in a couple of years they're going to have a gray and grizzled Captain America comeback with Chris
That'd be
Evans.
awesome.
I think that's what they're going to do. That's long term, but that's what I believe. So anyway, I have a bet with him. So Iron Man dies, 3PO. He's in the comments right now.
Yeah, I think Iron Man and Cap are toast. Not necessarily having to die, but as far as like being part of the Avengers, they might come back and have movies down the line. But I
Yeah.
think that when you go out and you announce and you push that Captain Marvel is going to be the new leader and it's going to center around her, that only tells me that to make room for her, that Cap and Iron Man are gone.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be gone. I don't know exactly if we're going to actually see Captain America die. I think we'll see Tony die, but Cap, I think, is going to go off into Never Never Land and then somehow come back in the future.
Fair enough.
But anyway, moving on from Avengers Endgame, my next one, actually, I'm going to do like a little twofer right here, just because I don't have much to talk about with either of these two films, but I do want to see them. Us by Jordan Peele and the new Hellboy movie. So
Ooh.
I haven't actually seen Get Out from Jordan Peele. I've heard it's amazing. So
It's not amazing. It's solid. It's not what it was hyped to be, but it's really good.
oh, okay. All right. So I should temper my excitement a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
All right. So I do want to see that before I see Us, but I saw the trailer for Us, and dude, that freaking trailer creeped me out, man.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, you haven't? You got to check it out. It's pretty intense. I don't know what the plot is. I have no idea what's going on, but from what I've heard about Get Out, it's going to be kind of like a sci-fi-esque thriller horror. So I'm interested.
it's going to be really. It's like one of those like psychological thrillers. Like it does a great job at that. Like you're going to enjoy the film a lot.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I might want to pair those up. Like I'm going to see Get Out, and then I'm immediately going to go to the theaters and see Us, just to see if I can compare the two.
There you go.
And then Hellboy. So Hellboy, I liked the original 3. Was there 3 or 2? Just 2, huh?
2. The third
Okay.
one got canceled.
Okay. I liked the original 2. I liked the actors. I thought there was a good tone. It was like a little bit comedic, but it had some good action and a little bit of supernatural-esque kind of thriller-ish going on. And when they made this reboot, I was like, oh, okay. And I started reading up on it, and they were talking about how they were going to go for a hard R, and they were going to focus more on the horror aspect of the franchise. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay, something different. Like that'll be a nice change. I'd like to see Hellboy go in a darker direction. And then they dropped the trailer. And I was like, it's like Guardians of the freaking Galaxy all over again. Like it's got the music, it's got the comedy. It's just like this is the same movie.
It almost seemed like Hellpool, like a mix of
Yeah,
Hellboy and Deadpool.
yeah. Like I'm cool. Like there's a place for that type of humor in these movies, and it's not a bad thing to have. But it
The
seemed
thing with Hellboy is what I noticed as far as like when the trailer would come up in theaters is I think that it could be cool. Like I like that it's something new for Hellboy, but it wasn't the only route they could have gone, like you mentioned, to do something new. But as far as the theaters I watched it in, the jokes didn't really land. So that's not a good sign for a movie that's going to take that route if the jokes aren't even landing in the trailer where you get to pick and choose
yeah.
which jokes that you want to show people to let them know that this is going to be a good time and funny, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely like an awkward moment where I think it was more my expectations were completely opposite of what they gave me. So I was a little put off by that. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. I wasn't expecting that. So I still am anticipating it because I like Hellboy. I think he's a cool character. I think you could do a lot with it, but I'm going in with some salt on that one. I don't know if it's gonna actually sell me on liking the movie or not.
Yeah, they looked like it had some cool monsters.
Yeah, yeah, we could see. Well, I don't. It's gonna be 50-50 for me for a little bit. All right, so go ahead. What do you got next?
All right, the next on my list is well, I'm gonna do two for also because with one of them, I don't know if that's gonna be have much to say, but Zombieland 2 and John Wick 3.
Yes, those are both on my list, dude. Zombieland more than John Wick for me. What about you?
Dude, I love the first Zombieland so much. I think when it come out like 2009, and it was so great and hilarious with Woody Harrelson, and it had Jesse Eisenberg and Bill Murray was great. I
Oh
love the
yeah,
parts with Bill Murray. I
that
think it's
movie had.
cool. I think it's a fun. Yeah,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say that movie had such perfect humor, and it's such a different take on
Oh
like a
yeah,
zombie movie. Like zombie movies forever have just
100%.
been pretty much the horror movies. Like, oh, it's a zombie horror movie, except for maybe Shaun of the Dead. But this took it in a totally different direction, and I think the cast was great. And something that really amped me for when I was reading up on it is every single cast member and the director and the writer are all the same from the first movie. So
Hell yeah.
it's the old crew coming back.
I hope they go look for Twinkies again.
Yeah. I love that part when he limbers up. He starts stretching. What are you doing? Oh, I got to limber up, man. Hey, Abu Nas is in the chat, man. Hey, what's up, buddy? Thanks for stopping by.
Abu, shout out Abu, great guy.
John Wick 3. Okay, that's the next one on both of our
Yes,
lists.
John Wick 1 is my favorite action movie of all time.
Okay.
John Wick 2 was a great sequel. You know, I think that the premise of John Wick to me was so original, and the fight scenes are different than anything I've seen before in the way he fights with the gun and how they shoot the shots and how cool it is. But the whole premise of like usually it's like, okay, a revenge plot, they killed his family or whatever,
Mhm.
or they kidnapped his family. But no, they killed his dog and he
Yeah.
slaughtered them all. You don't you don't mess with this man's dog.
Yeah. I love it's everything about it. It's like it knows what it is, so it doesn't make you take it too seriously.
Mhm.
Like, hey, look, we know we're like a shoot 'em up action movie, so that's just what we're gonna be, and that's what you expect, and that's what you're given. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. Like, it's not overly complicated, and
And yeah,
it's not trying to be some crazy political thriller along with an action movie. It's just like, no, you're here to see what you're here to see, and that's what we're gonna give you. And I'm like, freaking perfect.
and
Take my
not just
money.
that, it actually is a action movie that has interesting lore, like the whole idea behind the Continental and like that's a place where assassins and mercenaries can go and it's like a neutral no man's land zone where they all go and there's rules there. I love the rules and the head
Yeah,
guy of the hotel, he's like, there's only one rule here. I love that.
yeah,
It really felt like a whole universe there, and it had interesting characters. They had interesting like hitmen and women in it, and yeah, that's the thing with John Wick 2 is like it really built on the lore, and I loved. I love the whole thing. Like, it's maybe it just speaks to like the masculinity in me or whatever, just because I like those kind of things. But when he goes, he's the guy you sent to kill the boogeyman. I love that.
It's an awesome that movie has some really great lines. And I wanted to talk real quick about the action that Keanu Reeves is pulling off in these freaking movies, dude.
Oh yeah.
I'm not at all a martial artist. I know nothing about fighting. I don't even really watch the UFC, but I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos on like Joe Rogan talking about Keanu Reeves doing these moves. He's like, these are legit moves. Everything that he does in this movie is like something you get taught when you go and do martial arts. And then did you see that?
Trains jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Did you see that that leaked? Not leaked. God, why do I keep saying that? Did you see that video of Keanu Reeves? He was doing the trials with the gun, his pistol. He had his rifle and his pistol, and he was doing those rounds with it, like running through an obstacle course and stuff.
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, dude, I'm just gonna send it to you, dude. The guy can legit shoot. Like
Dude, please send it to me.
I will. I'll send it to you as soon as we're done with this podcast, dude. It's amazing to watch him do it. He runs through this course like it's nothing, and he hits dead on all the targets. It's awesome.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. Part of what I love about the action scenes is it's so smooth and fluid, and it doesn't seem like an actor trying to do something. You know what I'm saying? It seems like John Wick actually doing stuff. And I think you're right. That's a testament to what Keanu Reeves is doing to prepare for the role and what he knows and what he's actually doing in the film. So yeah, 100%.
It really adds to the film, and I think that's probably a good portion of why these movies are successful is because the action itself is so believable.
Baba Yaga.
All right, so let's see what I've got next. John Wick 3. I'm gonna do another double up because again, both these movies they're on my list, but they're not like the most important things. I've got Pokemon, Detective Pikachu, and the new Aladdin live action movie. Detective Pikachu. I am not a Pokemon person. I don't know anything about Pokemon. I've never played the games, never played the cards. But Ryan Reynolds is playing Pikachu, so I'm in. I want to see what happens here.
It definitely seems like it can be a really fun, interesting movie, and it brings me back to Who Killed Roger Rabbit. That mix of it really feels like it could be something like that, and I really enjoyed that film and that idea of like cartoon characters or like anime characters coming to life in a real world, and it's like a fun, silly movie, but at the same time, there's a seriousness aspect to it because they're solving a murder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's a cool premise. Like once I learned what it was actually about, I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. And then to have these Pokemon come to life, kind of like they're much more realistic than I thought they were going to go. Like they're kind of going like the Disney live action esque, with like the full hair and they look like real creatures and stuff. So I'm interested. It's piqued my attention, and I'm definitely going to check it out if I can. And then Aladdin. Okay, we got to talk about Aladdin real quick because there's some issues.
Real quick before Aladdin, I just want to say that it's really cool to me that a character like Pikachu says "Pika Pika," and then when you translate what he's actually saying, it's really Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I had an issue for a little bit when I was watching the trailer. I was like, I feel like this is Deadpool playing a prank on us.
Yeah, as long as they don't like kill us with a bunch of Deadpool reference jokes, then it should be cool.
Yeah, we should be all right. Okay, cool. All right, Aladdin. So I've got an issue with Aladdin. It looks like a full live play production instead of an actual movie. So like for instance, if you look at some of the EW photos, Aladdin, his outfit looks like very clean, proper. It's got a bunch of bejewels all over it. It looks like something you would see on a stage play. And I'm like, this is supposed to be a live action movie. Aladdin's like a hood rat, man. He's like a homeless person, just barely surviving.
They look too pretty.
Yeah, exactly. Everything looks way too clean. And I don't exactly know. I don't know where they're going with this. Like, it doesn't look like a real world. It looks like a very just flamboyant kind of. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but I'm not digging the look.
It looks very too fantasy.
Yeah, I want to see it only because it's part of the Disney live action reboot. So it's kind of like you almost feel obligated to see it for me personally anyway. So I'm like, all right, Aladdin was one of my favorite animated ones that they did. So I kind of want to see it, but I don't have a lot of hope for this one.
Yeah, as much as I love the animated film, it's probably something just the truth is that it's probably something I'll just see on Redbox or something. You know, it's not
Yeah.
something that I'm gonna go out to the theater and be excited to watch, especially because like I don't really know where they're taking it. And I saw Will Smith is cast as the genie, and I don't know if that's how he's always gonna look or if, you know, that's just his human form or what have you. I'm just scared that it's gonna be like Hancock as the genie. You know what I'm saying?
I liked Hancock. That was a
I
good
love
movie.
Hancock too. It's just he doesn't work as the genie.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Will Smith. I have faith in him, but I think the rest of the film is going to bring him down. Maybe I could be wrong, but that's just my gut feeling.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think it's your turn now. Go ahead. What do you got
All
next?
right, the only one I got left on my list is episode 9. So I don't know if you're
Oh,
ready to get into that.
okay, I've got at least 3 more to go.
All right, let's go through 'em.
Okay, real quick. Godzilla, King of Monsters.
Oh, how could I forget that one? Okay, that
Oh,
can be mine. That can be mine.
okay,
Oh
go
my
ahead.
god, I love Godzilla.
All right, go ahead for it, man. What do you got?
Dude, I'm so excited. Just the trailer, it got chills. Godzilla since I was a kid has been my favorite of all time. I love big monster movies. I love King Kong, but I love Godzilla especially because like he's like a dinosaur and I love dinosaurs when I was a kid and it just stayed with me, and watching Godzilla just like fight these other crazy monsters and like "Rah!" and like he shoots flames from his mouth. I love it so much, dude. And I like the first one. I know it was kind of controversial or whatever, but I like the new remake they made with that guy who played
Kick ass.
yes, Kick-Ass. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like that. And I liked King Kong, and I know I'm gonna love this, especially with the monsters they have that I saw in the trailer. So good. The names of them are escaping me. I know my childhood self would smack me in the face right now, but
It's,
yeah, and
I know one of them's Mothra.
Mothra, yes.
They got the 3-headed dragon. I don't
I
know
was
what his
thinking
name is.
Mon Mothma in my head, but I was like, no, that's Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm
it's
looking forward to Godzilla vs. King Kong especially.
okay. So that's my. I wanted to ask you about that. I like the Godzilla movies. They're not. I didn't grow up with them, so they're not my like all time favorite thing ever. But they're definitely great for like an overall just monster mash. Watching
Oh
monsters
yeah.
fight on screen. Like I'm down. I'm sold. Give me some popcorn. I'll give you $12 and entertain me for 2 hours. But my question is, Godzilla is such a badass in these movies, and I don't feel like they're building up King Kong enough. Like
That's fair.
Like to me, King Kong should be able to match, should be the only one who can match Godzilla. And so far, I'm like, that 3-headed dragon looks way more intimidating than King Kong did in his movie.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
I'm kind of, I don't know how they're gonna play it. I'm sure it'll be fun, but
Is there another King Kong movie coming out before Godzilla vs. King Kong?
not that I know of, but I could be wrong. I'd have to look it up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you definitely bring up a good point. Like, it's kind of like, you know, the only person who can defeat them is this. But what they could do, Salty, is if Godzilla, after he wins, like people feel like, okay, now he's asserted his dominance. Who's going to be able to stop him? And then somebody is like, I know someone, and maybe King Kong plays that role where it's like, oh, he's the only one who could maybe stop Godzilla left.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, they could play it that way. I'm gonna look forward to seeing it for sure because it's one of those things. But I am really curious where they're gonna take it.
I can't believe I forgot that movie.
It's all good. All right. So we got about 10 minutes left before I'm gonna wrap this up. So we're gonna blast through the next couple. We don't have to really talk about them, but they're on my list.
Okay.
Dark Phoenix, the new X-Men movie that's coming out at the beginning of summer, I believe.
Okay.
It's going to be the final chapter of this the new reboot First Class X-Men, so I do want to see what they're going to do. I hope it's good. So far all the First Class movies have been decent. I've enjoyed them all, so I don't
Did
have
you like
any
Apocalypse?
I definitely had some issues with it, but overall I thought it was pretty fun. I like that they actually introduced Magneto as being a father to Quicksilver. That was like probably my favorite part of that movie.
Yep.
And then real quick, let's see. Moving on, not Mission Impossible. Men in Black International. Chris Hemsworth with Tessa Thompson riffing it as a comedy action. Sold. Here's $12. Entertain me for 2 hours.
I'm still on the fence.
Are you? I'm down,
Yeah.
dude. I watched the trailer. I wasn't sold at first because I was like, oh, who needs Men in Black? I mean, that's an old franchise. Let it die. But then they showed me the trailer, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, I'm good. I'll check it out because I like Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth. I like his comedy. I like the action that I saw in the trailer. So I'm good. Show it to me. I'm good to go.
Okay.
Spider-Man: Far From Home. Who's your favorite Spider-Man so far?
See, it's tough because I didn't like Homecoming that much, but I like Tom Holland as a teenage Peter. If I had to
Mm,
pick one, I'd say right now it's still Toby, just edging it, not counting Spider-Man 3.
okay.
Um, yeah, but if they deliver a solid Spider-Man film with Tom Holland, he's gonna eclipse Toby for me.
Abu Nas's Andrew Garfield. He was cool. I liked him. I wish that they would have done better with his second movie, Abu.
Yeah,
Um,
Garfield
uh,
would be number one for me if that second movie wasn't just
mm.
I
He
don't
was a
even know what
little.
that
I
was.
don't know, he was a little spazzy for me. I actually really like Tom Holland's portrayal. I think it's a good age. The actor himself is a good age to play. So I'm
Yeah.
sold on that. But I like one thing I did hear about Spider-Man: Far From Home. The villain has been rumored to be Mysterio for the longest time, and
Uh,
recently, a Hollywood Reporter, somebody did an interview, and it turns out that he's going to be actually fighting with Spider-Man against the Eternals, which is like some group of like
what?
mystical. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. So they were described as brothers in arms, is Mysterio and Spider-Man.
Okay, now I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, so that's a game changer, dude. That was really cool to hear. I was like, oh, this ought to be interesting. So, and then okay, one last one before we talk about Star
Wait, wait,
Wars.
wait. Quick question. Quick question.
Sup,
I know we're
sup.
running out of time, but do you think that they're gonna use the excuse of him being far from home? Like, I'm assuming it means like maybe like he's not back on Earth yet. Maybe the symbiote tags along at a certain point. What do you think?
You think they're gonna bring in Venom? It's
Yeah, I think they'll tease it in an after credit. Maybe it crawls out of his bag or something.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Venom did really well in the box office, so I think there it'll be more likely to be included as opposed to if it would have flopped or something. Um, so it could be. I hope so. I think it'd be really cool to see Tom Hardy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That'll be a nice inclusion
Yeah,
because I want to
even
see.
yeah.
I was gonna say if it wasn't Venom, I would rather him be Wolverine.
Yeah, he'd be great.
He'd be awesome as Wolverine. His Wolverine. If you guys have seen Warrior, the movie with Joel Edgerton and Tom Hardy, if that his character in Warrior is the Wolverine, like that's who I want to see. The guy was yoked. He was freaking menacing as crap. It was a fantastic movie.
And Mad Max, like he was just this dude who just like,
Yeah.
he can
Oh
play
yeah,
that
that's
really
true.
well.
Huh? Fury
Yeah.
Road. Yeah, he did really well with that too. Okay, so last, I can't ignore this. Quentin Tarantino's ninth film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, uh, has to do with the Manson murders, apparently, and it's going to be starring
Mm.
Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio in old school 70s Hollywood. So
Well, now I'm interested. I love both those actors.
Quentin Tarantino directing Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio in the same movie, dude. Again, I'm sold. Here's my $12.
I'm sold too, and I have no idea about it.
Yeah, I don't know any of the plot. I don't know anything about it. I just know that it's basically has something to do with the Manson murders and it has Quentin Tarantino directing. So let's freaking go, dude. I'm really excited about that one.
So down.
Okay, here we go. The last 5 minutes of the podcast, we are going to dish out on Star Wars Episode 9. What do you got for me, man?
All right, so I have episode 9 down for two reasons, and to explain that briefly, because anybody who knows me knows that I really did not like episode 8. That's a whole podcast onto itself. But episode 9, I'm really curious where it's going to go and how they're going to handle all the plot threads and character arcs that they just didn't touch on well in episode 8, and how they're going to bring an end to both the Skywalker saga and tie the three trilogies together. I think that it's like, I don't know how they're going to pull it off. So part of me is like, I want to see what they attempt here. And the other part of me is excited for it because I'm just ready for the sequel trilogy to end and move on to something new in Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I want to see. It's kind of a weird thing because you see all these people on Twitter and online that talk about how J.J. Abrams was good with The Last Jedi. He helped him write it. He knew what was going to happen. He was involved, all this stuff. And then you can't help, like Jeremy Johns mentioned it in his video the other day about the top 10 2019 movies. He's like, the plot lines from The Force Awakens were not followed through. And he's like, I want to see what JJ does. JJ is kind of like coming into a wrecked house and he has to kind of put it back together. And I agree with him. I know people on Twitter and whatnot are be like, well, that's just a stupid way of thinking.
I don't think JJ comes back if that wasn't the case. He did not want to do another Star Wars film because he was offered the trilogy and he turned it down. George Lucas brought him in and he only said, I'm just doing one movie. I don't want to be tied to this for too long. I want to do other things. I think he came back because the film he set up was basically subverted, for lack of a better term. And I do think that part of me wants to see it because at the very least, I know that I'm going to look at it as, okay, this is the sequel to The Force Awakens. It's not going to be a great sequel to Episode 8. It's probably not going to save the trilogy from itself, but I'm just excited to see some of the plot lines that I was kind of interested in Episode 7 maybe get brought in here in Episode 9.
To tell you the truth, I kind of want to see JJ redeem the characters that he created. I loved Rey in The Force Awakens. I knew she was overpowered, but I always figured that there was some kind of a reason for that.
For me, that I did too. I thought that with Rey, she didn't bother me at first, only later on as like it started to sink in. It really bothered me just the way that, see, I was ready to be okay with it like you if they were going to give us a reason in Episode 8. If it was going to be a twist, maybe she was dark side, maybe she was this person's kin or whatever, what have you. But a lot of Episode 7 hinged on Episode 8 for me.
Yeah. And that's kind of a little bit of the fault of JJ. He loves making his mystery boxes. I think if he would have made a movie that could have stood on his own, it would have been less likely to be tarnished by the sequel. Kind of similar if you think about Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars can stand on its own. You don't need to see the sequel to understand what's happening.
Right. And not to mention, he's the one who put like Luke on the island and set things into motion that ended up being ruined by the next person. Not to get into that conversation, but
yeah, that's an interesting thought. I've kind of battled with that in my own head. Like, was it JJ's fault that Luke was on this island? I always assumed that he was there for a purpose. Like he had to be there.
JJ assumed that too, because remember the lost piece of the map.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things that point to the fact that Luke was there for a purpose and that he wanted somebody to find him eventually. So, I mean, we could dive into that for hours and hours.
You're right, absolutely.
I definitely want to see 9 only because I want to see not only the characters themselves in the film, but the actors. I feel bad for the actors because if you think about it, dude, if you got offered the role to be the main or one of the main characters in a new Star Wars trilogy, that's like a dream come true for a lot of people. Yeah. And I feel really bad for Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega. I know they've said things on Twitter, but I'm trying not to hold that stuff against them. It's hard when you're constantly being berated online to not lash out.
Adam, out of all of them, probably is the most universally accepted because he does well for what he's asked to do, and he does bring an interesting take to the character of Kylo. But you're right, Daisy didn't sign up for this. Finn didn't sign up for this. Kelly Marie Tran. But at the same time, they kind of did sign up for this because this isn't new for Star Wars for actors to be, in the hot seat, so to speak.
Yeah, that is a good point. That's an excellent point to make, especially with the prequels in our history. We know what happened with what's his last name's Best. What's his first name?
Ahmad Best.
Ahmad Best. We know he had a rough time. Jake Lloyd had a really rough time, but I think that poor kid. I feel really bad for him. But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's exactly what my point is I feel bad for the actors because I don't have any bad feelings towards them whatsoever.
100%.
I feel like their characters could have been way better than they got delivered. So I want to see them be redeemed in Episode 9. I want to like John Boyega's Finn character. I want to like Rey. I want these characters to be awesome. So that's what my hope is. If we're going to get that or not, that's up in the air right now. We'll have to wait for some trailers.
I wouldn't hold your breath because there's just too much that film still has to do.
Yeah, you're right. It has to wrap up the entire Star Wars saga as far as the Skywalkers are concerned. So it's got a heavy, heavy weight on its shoulder. I'm rooting for JJ personally. I think he's a good director. I like his work, so I'm hoping for the best. But
Yeah.
it is what it is, man.
Yeah, bottom line, we all want good Star Wars. So
Yeah, exactly. Quick note: we didn't really get a chance to talk about TV real quick, but Game of Thrones coming out in April. April's going to be stacked. Also, The Mandalorian. Sometime in 2018, we're going to get Jon Favreau's Mandalorian, and that movie or that show, I think, is going to be a shining light in this Disney era of Star Wars.
I hope so.
It's got everything rooting for it. It's got an A-list cast. It's got Dave Filoni attached as director for 2 episodes. It's got Taika Waititi directing the finale. Jon Favreau's the story writer behind it. Yeah, it's got a great setting. It's far removed from anything else related to Star Wars that we know of. So that immediately takes the anxiety away that they're going to mess something up. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like no legacy characters. Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm rooting for that movie or that TV show to come out. And that's just about it, guys. I'm going to wrap up the Salty Nerd Podcast first SNP live stream. Thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate it. I know I've said it at the beginning, but I'm not sure how many people were here. My new episodes will be on YouTube as well as iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. And some of the most popular episodes that I have already made will also be uploaded to YouTube to be available for a new audience. So hit the subscribe button, share around. If you guys enjoy my content, please let people know. It helps me out, keeps me motivated to continue making these things. And I want to give you a special thanks to Sith Kriptonian for joining me tonight. Thank you very much, sir.
100%, man. Like I said, I am a big fan of your show, and you already know I'm a fan of you. You're part of the Senate, and we're great friends as far as that goes. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to do this again whenever you want. I had a great time just talking movies with you, man.
Hell yeah, man. I will definitely hit you up in the future. Thank you, guys. Everybody have a great night. I've got a jet. I've got a family to take care of. So have a great night. Peace out.